Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Flynn and I am the owner and maker of Flynn Sisters Boutique. And today we're going to be doing another matte tumbler tutorial. This time I'm going to be showing you guys how I did this double ombre nude and leopard design. I absolutely love how this came out. This is one of my favorite tumblers and it was so simple to do. I got this done in like a day and a half. So I think you guys are going to totally love this. Now, I am also going to be going over some frequently asked questions that you guys have had about the Final Sand product, and I'm also going to give you some great care instructions on how to maintain that gorgeous matte finish that we're all going crazy for. So there's been a lot of talk and excitement about this product in the tumbler community, and I'm absolutely loving it. So I hope I can answer some of your questions today. Now, you'll also notice down in the description box a link to our Flynn Sisters community group, which is a great place for you guys to go and ask questions, get some help from the community, and share projects that you have made from our tutorials. All right, so that's enough chit chat for me. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, you guys, so we're going to want to start out by properly prepping our cup, and we can do prep so much easier with this Final Sand product. It's a one-step process. You just squirt a little bit on there and use your maroon color scouring pad to scrub out the whole surface. You don't even have to press that hard. Let the product do the work and rinse it off completely. This is going to rinse off any kind of debris, any kind of like surface oils or anything that was left over in the manufacturing of your stainless steel tumbler. And then we're going to wipe it dry with some paper towels. Make sure that we get this completely dried off. And then we are ready to start spray painting. It is extremely important with this particular design that you do proper prep work, because we are going to be doing a lot of work to the spray painted surface and you don't want any of that paint lifting up. Next, I'm going to spray paint my ombre. I'm going to start with my darkest color. Just kidding. I'm starting with my lightest color on the bottom, which in this case is white, and I'm using a flat white spray paint. You don't have to use flat spray paint. If you wanted to use a gloss spray paint, you could. I would just recommend spraying a white flat primer spray down first. With this one, I'm only spraying a little bit over half of the way up on my cup, and then I'm going to go in with my Ultra Matte Rustic Pink from Rust-Oleum. This is my favorite nude color. It's absolutely gorgeous. I've used it a lot. And I'm just going to spray this in short, quick bursts to create my ombre. If you're worried about clogs on your nozzle or things are coming out wonky, just spray your spray can upside down for a little bit and then get back to work. So here I'm just spraying quick short burst of spray paint, and we're going to just kind of keep layering until we get a nice fade that we like. And you also notice that I spray pretty far away, like at least 12 inches. The closer you get, the more drips you're gonna get. So you wanna spray from far away, short, quick bursts of paint, and you're gonna kind of keep spraying both colors until everything looks good. It does take a little bit of practice, but it's not that hard. These matte paints are super easy to spray and fade, and I really like the nozzle from Rust-Oleum because it rarely clogs on me. Just make sure you guys, when you're done spraying, spray your cans upside down so they don't clog. All right, so I've already cut my leopard print pattern. I measured horizontally and vertically around my cup, so I know that my pattern needed to be 9.5 inches wide by 8 inches tall. And I'm going to be spray painting my vinyl. So before I spray paint my vinyl, I'm going to prep my vinyl so that my spray paint will properly adhere to this permanent vinyl. I'm using Oracal 651 glossy vinyl. Yes, you can buy vinyl that is already matte, and that would probably work out fine for you. It's just anytime that I've tried to spray paint vinyl and transfer it, the paint lifted up. So I'm just doing this as an extra precautionary measure. Also, it doesn't take very long at all. This process took me maybe about 60 seconds. So I'm just going over the whole surface of my already cut vinyl that has not been weeded with the final sand product and a little bit of my maroon scouring pad. And then I'm taking a damp paper towel and I'm just wiping all of that off until I've completely wiped everything clean. So you really want to make sure that you get all of that scouring product off of the vinyl and it's just perfectly clean and matte and beautiful, and it is ready to be spray painted. So here you can see all we did was just take the shine right off of that glossy vinyl. Now with my vinyl on my clipboard, I'm going to take it outside and I'm just going to spray paint my ombre exactly the same way that I spray painted my cup. I accidentally forgot to start filming when I first started spray painting this, but the process is really simple. You just spray paint your ombre on with your spray paint exactly how you did the cups. One thing to keep in mind when you're spray painting cut vinyl is that the thicker your spray paint layer, the harder it's going to be to weed out those shapes later. So try to be very conservative with your paint. This one I was not conservative with and it was kind of difficult, but it worked. Anyway, so once we've got that all together, you're going to want to let this dry really, really well. Give this like at least a good half hour or something. You want this completely dry before you start weeding it.
World 21 and feeling old. Being young and engaged in the modern age. Only seen on the screen, internet's our stage. Reaching high, wondering why no one knows the pain. Got the world.
You're also going to want to go over this really well to make sure that you got all those little spots out of the other little spots, because I missed some on my first go around with this. Anyway, so once we've got that all weeded, absolutely gorgeous, I wanted to show you guys what this looks like with not prepped vinyl. So if you were to spray paint glossy vinyl with no prep work, with this particular spray paint, it did fine. So like in hindsight, you probably don't need to prep your vinyl, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Also, if you're using glossy spray paint, you definitely want to prep your vinyl. But I was just showing you guys that the paint actually did do pretty well on unprepped vinyl. This matte piece, or this black piece, was actually matte vinyl and it did fine as well. So if you look at my transfer sheet, I didn't have any paint that lifted. It did great. So if you guys don't want to prep your vinyl, that's fine. But if you do have problems with your spray paint lifting when you go to transfer your decals, definitely prep your vinyl. Either way, it's not going to hurt you to get it done. Okay. So now we're going to transfer our pattern onto the cup. I've already cut a large piece of transfer tape. This is my favorite transfer tape. It never lifts up paint. It transfers everything I want it to pretty well. It is a little bit spendy, but I will have the link to where you can get this stuff down in the description box below. I've been using it forever and I just love it. So anyway, you're just going to want to secure a small piece of that transfer tape to the table to kind of help you stabilize everything, and then go over, the whole sheet there and lightly press it down to the transfer tape. You don't want everything adhering like super well, so just kind of be careful. And then I'm going to pull the backing off my vinyl first, just to make sure everything's ready to transfer without any drama once I go to get it on the cup. And then you'll just lay that transfer sheet back down onto your vinyl and we'll transfer everything onto our cup. Now I'm going to use that same little strip that we had used to secure to the table earlier, and I'm going to secure that to the cup in a straight line. Try to get it as straight and square as possible. And then we're just going to very slowly wrap our pattern around. You guys have seen me do this before. This is nothing new here. But mainly I just wanted to show you guys how easy it was to change the color of your white permanent vinyl. So if you've ever struggled to find a certain color of vinyl or whatever the case may be, this is really going to be a fun kind of technique that you can use. And with these matte cups, since they look so great with just painted designs, this is just another kind of design that you can add into your flow here. And I just think it's so fun. I love it. So anyway, once we get to the end here, I'm just gonna pull up this little strip that we used to secure our pattern earlier and lay the edge of the rest of our decal down. If you find that a part of your decal is overlapping like mine is up here at the top, I'm just gonna cut off that section and then I'll hand place it later. You want to avoid pulling up these decals at all costs because you risk damaging your paint. You also need to be very careful about using scissors and sharp tools around your paint. If you guys feel more comfortable putting the decal over like an epoxied layer first instead of just going straight over the paint, I would absolutely recommend that. I've worked over paint like this so many times before that I'm comfortable doing it, and I know that this particular transfer tape and process will not lift my paint. As long as you've done the right prep work and you're using good quality spray paint, you're gonna be fine. So here I'm just relocating one of the spots that I thought looked kind of weird. As you can see, this vinyl is super durable with the paint. It's pretty easy to reposition it if you need to, and as long as you're not using any kind of like knives or picks or anything against that paint, it's really easy to pull up those decals and just move them without scratching anything. I learned the hard way when I first did this. Just take your time, be patient, don't pick at it with anything sharp. And if you do and you have to retouch it, you can totally retouch it with some extra spray paint and a paintbrush. It's not a big deal. So once I got to the end here, I just hand placed those spots that were kind of overlapping at the top, and that was that. I was totally done with this part. So here we have not done any epoxy yet. This is just paint with our painted decals over the top, and we are ready to epoxy right over this. There's no need to seal this. You can go straight into epoxy. So I applied my 2 layers of epoxy, and after that second coat had dried for about 8 to 12 hours, I was ready to put on my metallic decal. With my first one that I did for this design, I put the metallic decal down first on the cup over the paint, and then laid the spots down over it, and then lifted the spots that overlapped over this metallic decal. That was so tedious and ridiculous, and I scratched up so much of the paint and had to retouch up so many things that I didn't want to teach it that way to you guys. So learn from my mistakes. I just laid the spots down, did my epoxy, and then I'm going to put this metallic decal over it. And I think it actually looked way better to do it this way, honestly. So I'm just going to lay down this decal like I would any other decal. This is my favorite rose gold vinyl from Tech Wrap Craft. I will have a link for these down in the description box. All right, so now I've got my decal on there. I'm ready to go into my final coat of epoxy. I also wanted to show you guys a comparison between both the one where I left the spots around the decal and one where I put the decal just over the spots. I think it looks good either way, however you guys want to do that. And then in this final coat of epoxy, I'm just putting it on like I would any other coat. And I'm gonna let this dry for a good like 12 to 20 hours. I mean, you want like a fully hardened, really good cured coat of epoxy before you move into this matte process. So I've got a good amount of the final sand product on my cup here that's been dried and it's ready to go, and I'm using my 00 grade steel wool to scour around the cup. I'm doing this in even pressure, but I'm also not scrubbing too hard. You don't want to use the same kind of patterns that you would use when you're sanding a cup. You want to go in a circular motion, and you want to let the steel wool and the product do the work. You also want to make sure you get each section and surface of the cup all uniformed pressure. One thing I see people struggle with is they say that there's like scratches, it looks like, on the cup, and I would say you guys are probably like scrubbing too hard or too abrasive. So I just use this 00 grade steel wool and move in like gentle circles around the whole cup, and you want to apply good even pressure to all surfaces of the whole entire cup. Then I will dry the cup completely, like get it bone dry, to see if I missed any spots or if anything looks weird. And if it does, I just go in and I repeat the same process all over again. And I will continue to do this until I get a nice uniform matte finish around the whole cup. So you should have like a really uniform, even, sheen around the whole thing. Okay, and just keep going if it looks weird, and like worst case scenario, you have to epoxy over the whole cup and try again. So it's not the end of the world if it doesn't turn out, because again, you guys, we're just micro scratching the surface of our epoxy. We're not doing anything major here. We're just taking the shine away with a very light sanding, okay? And we're also doing it with a product that has a detergent built in, so we're not leaving behind any kind of residue. And so that is it. We're totally done with this cup. You do not need to seal it. You don't need to epoxy over it. That is literally the final step. Hence the name Final Sand. I hope you guys love it. I just absolutely love this cup so much. All right, you guys, so that about concludes our tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. At the beginning of the video, I taught you how to use Final Sand in your prep work with your cups. Super simple one-step process for doing all the prep work that you need to get your cup ready for paint and epoxy and glitter and all of that. So that's what the product was intended for when it was originally created. It was used in the automotive industry for many, many years. It just now was recently introduced into the tumbler world as a way to safely and effectively matte finish your epoxy tumblers. So now, there's also been a lot of concern about what oil will do to the surface of the matte epoxy and if that will be a permanent stain and all of that. So I just want to go over really quickly what's actually happening when you use Final Sand on the surface of your epoxy. There's a bunch of teeny tiny micro pieces of silica in this sanding compound. When it's rubbed across the surface, it's just like any kind of other sanding compound or buffing compound that can be used, and it's just lightly scratching the surface. So we're just gently scratching the surface, either with your hand or with some steel wool or a scouring pad and in water, okay? And so we're safely and effectively, gently scuffing up the surface. That's all we're doing. So it's not going to leave any kind of toxic residue. This isn't a deglosser or a chemical that is, taking the sheen away from your epoxy. It's just a very minimal sanding. So that doesn't make your epoxy then porous to where it would absorb color from lipstick or oils from your hands. It's not going to be absorbing anything and maintaining it on the surface. You just would be filling in these micro scratches that we created, just like any other kind of like matte plastic product. So this is my mouse that I use every day. It has like a matte plastic, and as you can see where my hands typically are, there's a little bit of sheen here. But when I take a little paper towel and some rubbing alcohol, I can easily clean off all the oils from the surface, and the original matte sheen would be restored. The same goes for this matte epoxy. Okay, so as you can see, all the oils have been removed from the surface simply and easily. If you are having trouble getting, colored oiled stains or something from your tumbler, you can use a magic eraser and some just simple dish soap and lightly clean the surface. You don't have to scrub into it. All a magic eraser is a melamine foam, and as long as you are not like completely like abrasively scrubbing it, it's not going to damage your epoxy. Same can be said about a matte tumbler that has a shiny side as well. So the care would be the same. Again, you shouldn't have to press so hard with a magic eraser to move any kind of oils from the surface that you would somehow damage this shiny part. That's not what we're asking you to do to care and maintain this matte surface. And that's even if you need to use the magic eraser to remove surface stains. So I have just been washing my tumblers like I normally would with dish soap and a sponge. I don't use the abrasive side on my sponge. I just wash it like I would any of my other cups, and my matte surfaces are completely restored. So, you know, again, it's just like any other kind of matte surface. You have micro scratches along the surface of your epoxy. It's not like when you micro scratch the surface of the epoxy that you're somehow breaking down to a barrier that is now vulnerable to stains and anything like that. It doesn't suddenly make your epoxy porous, any more porous than what this shiny surface would already have been. Okay. And so that's just been my experience. If somebody has had a different experience, then that is fine. But I mean, I've been using this cup for a while now. I've been using this cup for weeks, and I don't have any of the shine taken away. And I don't know anybody who rubs tumblers all over their face, or anybody who puts their lips straight to the side after they've had matte 24-hour wear lipstick on or something. Like I don't know. And even if they did, the surface care for this would be exactly the same as the surface care for a shiny tumbler. I'm going to go as far as to say that. Because that's been my personal experience, and this is my personal review on the product. I also want to make a statement about the fact that this is not the only way to matte finish epoxy tumblers. There are a million ways to skin a cat. This is the way that I choose to do it and how I choose to teach it on my channel, because it's the only product that gently sands and micro scratches the surface of the epoxy to allow us to do it around vinyl stenciling. There's no other product I know of that will enable me to do this in the detail that I can get with a final sand. So that is why I'm super jazzed about this product. I think it works great. I've been having a wonderful time with it. I'm so excited to see all of the buzz and excitement in the tumbler world about this product, and I hope you guys absolutely love it. So that concludes my video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys soon. All right, so I also want to show you guys really quick how to clean off products like lipstick, concealer, foundation. I don't have any bright red lipstick because that's not my color, but I've got some really pretty nude lipstick here. I'm just rubbing it into both the shiny and the matte side so you can see the cleanup on both types of tumblers. I'm also going to use some concealer on this. This is I think this is Urban Decay concealer, and then Urban Decay's foundation. I'm just going to rub this in again to both the matte and the shiny side so I can show you guys how the cleanup is virtually identical. So I'm just taking a sponge with some dish soap, and I'm not using the abrasive side, and I'm just rinsing it off and it comes right off. It's not any different than any other cup I've ever used. So yeah, not high maintenance at all. Great product, great surfacing. The matte finish restores beautifully without a problem, no matter what I throw at it. I also will show you guys how I rubbed face lotion all over the cup. So I've got some St. Ives facial moisturizer. Great product, by the way, if you've never tried it. And I'm just going to rub that into the finish really well. You're going to see that I totally restore the shine in the epoxy when I rub that lotion on there. And then again, we're just taking my sponge on the soft side, and I'm going to rinse it off and just wash off the surface like I would normally wash off any tumbler after it got kind of yucky from carrying it around a while. And then I'm going to take some clean paper towels and I'm going to dry this off really well. Now, you guys wouldn't have to sit here and fully dry it with paper towels for this to work, but for the purpose of me showing you and continual footage on this video, I want to get it really super dry, all in one frame so you can see. And as you can see here, I've fully restored the matte finish. There is no sheen against that matte, and we're good to go. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you love this video, you could check out our last video here. Also be sure to find us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and of course subscribe for all our new videos that come out every Wednesday and Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.